మన దేశంలో ప్రస్తుతం 65% ఇంక్రీజ్ ఉందట ఓన్లీ ఇన్ స్టూడెంట్ సూసైడ్ డెత్స్. ఇవన్నీ చాలా హారిఫైయింగ్ అండ్ అన్బిలీవబుల్ షాకింగ్ ట్రూత్స్.
There are certain places in our country which are now being called suicide hotspots.
What are the warning signs of somebody going through this phase?
If you don't come, you'll miss it. Next year I won't be there. You see how I'm telling? Isn't this a warning sign?
He committed suicide because the ChatGPT asked him.
My God. Suicide attempts because of revenge porn.
Revenge porn.
Yeah. You know what is revenge porn?
Mostly men commit suicide by hanging.
Okay.
And women are immolating. Why so, doctor?
Women attempt suicide more, whereas men. In 1 year, in one hospital in Bangalore, I found 327 cases of women burning themselves. I'm not even talking about homicidal. The news spreads in a very dramatic manner. The suicides among the common people increases. This is called Vartar effect.
Really?
Why is it happening?
Why? For the first time I heard something like this where a NEET topper
Okay.
who got a seat in AIMS Gorakhpur, who's like got 99.9%, who committed suicide.
My God. We cannot just look at it as a child playing PUBG. Instead, we need to look at it as it will not get cured with the mother telling give it away. Instead, it requires treatment.
A guy has an intravenous injection of kerosene of 5 ml.
Okay. Oh.
I don't know what could be the motive because they found it when that guy was unconscious and taken to the hospital.
Imagine somebody might have told you, you hurt me, no, see what I will do. That's a conversational sign. Let us take it seriously.
Hello, hi friends. Welcome to PremaTheJournalist YouTube channel. Please do subscribe to my channel and click on the bell icon to get notifications to consume intriguing, impactful and inspiring content from my channel. ప్రపంచవ్యాప్తంగా దేశవ్యాప్తంగా మన రాష్ట్రాల్లో కూడా ఏదేదో కారణాలతో చిన్న చిన్న రీజన్స్తో జనాలు ఎందుకు సూసైడ్ చేసుకుంటారని కొన్ని షాకింగ్ ట్రూత్స్ వింటున్నప్పుడు తెలుస్తున్నప్పుడు ఇంకా చాలా భయం వేస్తుంది. అయ్యో ఏంటి ఎటుపోతుంది, ప్రపంచం ఎటుపోతుంది, మనం అందరం ఎటుపోతున్నాం. మన దేశంలో ప్రస్తుతం 65% ఇంక్రీజ్ ఉందట ఈ దశాబ్దంలో ఓన్లీ ఇన్ స్టూడెంట్ సూసైడ్ డెత్స్, విచ్ ఇస్ సో అలార్మింగ్. అది కాకుండా ప్రతి 1,00,000 మందిలో 12.5 పీపుల్ ఆర్ డయింగ్ బై కమిటింగ్ సూసైడ్. ఇవన్నీ చాలా హారిఫైయింగ్ అండ్ అన్బిలీవబుల్ షాకింగ్ ట్రూత్స్. ఎందుకు జరుగుతున్నాయి ఇవన్నీ తెలుసుకోవాలి అండ్ దీనికి పరిష్కారం ఏంటి, వాట్ కెన్ బి డన్, వాట్ నీడ్స్ టు బి డన్. సో టుడే ఐ హ్యావ్ అన్ ఎక్స్పర్ట్ who is working since more than 20 years on suicide prevention and other related mental health issues. I have with me Dr. Ashwini N V, who is from Bangalore. ఆమెకి తెలుగు అంతగా రాదు, సో షీ విల్ స్పీక్ ఇన్ ఇంగ్లీష్. నేను మధ్యలో తెలుగు ఇంగ్లీష్ కాంబినేషన్లో ఈ క్వశ్చన్స్ అడుగుతాను. బట్ బికాస్ షీఈ్ అన్ ఎక్స్పర్ట్ ఐ హ్యాడ్ టు గెట్ హర్ ఆల్ ద వే ఫ్రమ్ బెంగళూరు. సో షీ ఫ్లూ టు హైదరాబాద్ ఫర్ అస్, మనందరి కోసం ఈ సబ్జెక్ట్ మీద, ఈ విషయం మీద అవగాహన పెంచడం కోసం. సో ఐ హ్యావ్ విత్ మీ Dr. Ashwini on my channel, PremaTheJournalist. Hi, doctor. How are you doing?
I'm doing good.
Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
The moment I asked, you just came from Bangalore.
No, I mean, I'm so glad that you're choosing to speak on this particular topic. And I think it's so important.
Yeah.
You know, when you just told about how suicide among students, it's increasing, it's heartbreaking. And I must thank you for deciding to talk about this particular topic, and happy to support you on this cause of preventing suicide.
The more and more I started researching about the subject, understanding what is happening, shocking truths which have come out, and I was like, I'm not able to understand and decode as to what is happening? When I've been doing this research, I found some alarming number. Normally నేను ఏదైనా ఇంటర్వ్యూకి వస్తే I just talk my mind, whatever comes in my mind. But first time I'm getting a book with me, because there's so many points that I've noted, so many data that I've picked to understand why all these are happening. Tell me first, అసలు ఒక 20 years బ్యాక్ మనం ఇది ఇంతగా వినలేదు ఈ సూసైడ్స్ గురించి. అఫ్కోర్స్ సూసైడ్స్ అయ్యేవి అప్పుడు కూడా, బట్ అక్కడ నేను రేర్గా ఎక్కువ ఫార్మర్ సూసైడ్స్, ఫైనాన్షియల్ సూసైడ్స్ అలా ఉండేవి. ఒక 2 decadesగా ఐ హావ్ బీన్ లిసనింగ్ టు స్టూడెంట్ సూసైడ్స్, దెన్ యంగ్ పీపుల్, టీనేజర్స్, అడాలసెంట్స్, అండ్ ఈవెన్ ఓల్డ్ ఏజ్ పీపుల్. రకరకాల సూసైడ్స్. ఇప్పుడు ఇంటర్నెట్ సూసైడ్స్, ఆన్లైన్ సూసైడ్స్, వాట్ ఆల్ ఆర్ హ్యాపెనింగ్. వై డాక్టర్ అశ్విని, అసలు ఇంతగా ఎందుకు పెరుగుతోంది? వై ఇస్ ఇట్ రైజింగ్ ఇన్ సచ్ అన్ అలార్మింగ్ వే?
Ma'am, we can look at why suicide is increasing in 2 perspectives. One, reporting might have increased. For instance, prior to 2017, suicide was considered an offense in our country.
Okay.
After Mental Health Care Act 2017 came into the picture, suicide is actually decriminalized in our country. And why did they decriminalize? Understanding that when people attempt suicide, they're doing it out of stress. They're doing it because of mental health concerns. And if they are seen as criminals, that's no solution to the problem that they are going through. No? So there is every possibility that the suicide numbers might seem like it's increasing because now people are comfortable to report that suicidal deaths have happened or attempts have happened. That could be one perspective. But the other perspective could also be that the stressors in the life of people might also be increasing. For instance, when you spoke about students' death, imagine, isn't academic pressure increasing?
Right.
There are certain places in our country which are now being called suicide hotspots.
Oh my God.
Because of the concentrated number of deaths that are happening among students.
Okay.
So therefore there is no denying that the stressors are increasing and that's contributing to increase in suicidal deaths. But the other contributing factor could also be the decriminalization of suicide. Because of that, the reporting is also increasing, which might make it seem like suicide is increasing. But there is no denying also that the suicide is also increasing.
ఎవరైనా సూసైడ్ చేసుకోవాలి అనుకునేవాళ్ళు, వాళ్ళు వాళ్ళ మైండ్లో ఏముంటుంది మ్యామ్? ఏం ఆలోచిస్తుంటారు వాళ్ళు? నాకు ఎప్పుడు అనిపిస్తుంది, వాట్ దే మస్ట్ బి గోయింగ్ త్రూ. ఒక్కసారి నేను విన్నాను ఏంటంటే, ఆ క్షణం ఆగితే వాళ్ళు బతుకుతారు అంటారు. ఆ క్షణం ఆగితే ఎందుకు బతుకుతారు? మళ్ళీ అదే థాట్ మళ్ళీ కూడా వస్తుంది కదా. సో ఐ కీప్ థింకింగ్, వాట్ దే మస్ట్ బి గోయింగ్ త్రూ.
Somebody who's contemplating suicide, they may feel that they are helpless. Helpless is, I cannot help myself and nobody will be able to help me. So there might be a helplessness feeling. And they may also be feeling worthless. There is no value to my life. There's nobody recognizing the value of my life. Helplessness, worthlessness, and hopelessness. Hopelessness is, the way things are today, it's going to be the same tomorrow. The combination of these 3, when somebody gets into this frame of thinking, sometimes they may feel that, it's okay that even I'm not there, what's going to happen?
కొంతమంది పరువు పోతుంది. ఇంటికి అప్పుల వాళ్ళు వచ్చారనుకో, అందరికి తెలిసిపోతుంది, పరువు పోతుంది. సో దాని బదులు పరువు పోవడం కంటే చచ్చిపోవడం బెటర్. అండ్ దెన్ ఈగో, అంటే ఈమెవరు వీడెవరు నాకు చెప్పడానికి, నేను ఇంత హారబుల్ స్టేట్లో ఉన్నానా, ఐ డోంట్ వాంట్ టు లిసన్ టు ఎనీబడి, ఐ జస్ట్ వాంట్ టు డై. అంటే ఇలాంటివి కూడా ఉంటాయా? అంటే హోప్లెస్, వర్త్లెస్ కాకుండా
certain other mindsets. Absolutely, ma'am. These are all what we call cognitive distortions. What are cognitive distortions? Simple, how can we understand? Imagine you're wearing a glass. There are scratches on the glass. What happens?
You can't see properly.
You can't see properly. Is anything wrong with the world?
Right.
No. But then the scratches in our glass is making us look at the world and the world looks in a distorted manner.
Very true.
Now let's apply this to certain scratches in our thinking style. For example, we may have something called cognitive distortion. Cognitive distortions ante, scratches in our thinking style. The way scratches on the glass did not allow us to look at the world clearly. Very similar to that. there could be certain errors in our thinking style. For instance, the tendency to mind read. Mind reading అనేది ఒక cognitive distortion. What is mind reading? Mind reading is I know what others are thinking about me. For all you know, others have their own headaches. Correct. They might not even be
assumptions.
Assumption and negative assumptions.
Negative assumptions.
Positive assumptions లేదు. Negative assumptions. వాళ్ళు అలా అనుకుంటారు. They will think like this about me. Mind reading. And sometimes people may have a tendency to mind read, others in a negative manner. Right, and then, it fills our own thoughts with so much of negativity. And already when there are existing problems, this mind reading cognitive distortions might really worsen our mental space. The other one could also be our labeling tendency. Labeling tendency means, say for example, I usually tell this, our mind is like a sponge. Okay. Whatever you feed it, you tell me there is a sponge, you pour water on it, it absorbs. Gutter water on it, it absorbs. Bisleri distilled water, it absorbs. Very similar. Brain is like a sponge. The moment I label myself, maybe I have loans that I'm not able to pay. Therefore, I'm a failure. Imagine if I think the brain is going to tell that, yes, you're a failure. I am a failure. I am a failure. So instead, if you say, okay, today I have an economic constraint, tomorrow maybe I'm going to resolve it, the brain is also going to believe that. So the cognitive distortion of labeling, I am so-and-so, I am failure, I am unlucky, I am good for nothing. The brain is not going to talk back and say, no, you can be successful.
అంటే మనకి మనమే అనేసుకోవడం. నేను ఇది నేను ఇంతే, నా లైఫ్ ఇంతే, ఇంకా అయిపోయింది.
And the brain is going to absorb it. Right. So when we say positive self-talk, you see why it's important, because brain is like a sponge. You tell your brain, today I don't have money, but tomorrow I'm going to work hard and going to earn and repay loans. My circumstances are going to change. For all you know, in that moment, that spirit, the urge to live and survive comes, and then we also have an opportunity to thrive. So the way we talk to ourselves. So when I say cognitive distortions, చూడండి, ఇవన్నీ errors in our thinking style. Mind reading, labeling. There is another one, very dangerous, called overgeneralization. What is overgeneralization? Imagine something happened to you today. Imagine, I'll give one example, Prema ma'am. Let's say you gave those examples of family members, having a fight, and then after that, what seems impulsively the person is attempting suicide. Think about it. Let's say you're my sister. Let's say today I'm telling you something and you're just not understanding. Correct. I can think two types. One, Prema didn't understand me today. I'll still be angry at you. But overgeneralization, Prema will never understand me. Right. Not just Prema, nobody in my house, nobody in my life is understanding. Look at these two overgeneralized terms. Never is an overgeneralization. Nobody is another overgeneralization. The moment we think using overgeneralizations, whatever is unpleasant sometimes will even make us feel it's unbearable. If I think Prema didn't understand me today, it hurts me, but it's manageable. But the moment I think you never understand, nobody ever understands me, everything seems unmanageable. Correct. So when we're talking about think positive, there is a technical understanding to it. Mind reading, labeling, overgeneralization. For them, it's the end of the world. Why overgeneralization? If I have a breakup now, I will never be in another healthy relationship.
బట్ ఇలా ఎందుకు అవుతుంది డాక్టర్ అంటే, ఇప్పుడు ఒక ఫ్యామిలీ ఉంది, మదర్ ఫాదర్ ఒక ముగ్గురు పిల్లలు అనుకోండి, అందరూ ఒక పాజిటివ్గా ఒక మంచి యాటిట్యూడ్తో ఆలోచిస్తుంటే ఒక్క మనిషి మాత్రం డిఫరెంట్గా ఎందుకు ఆలోచిస్తారు? అదే ఫ్యామిలీలో పుట్టి పెరిగారు, ఆ సర్కమ్స్టాన్సెస్ మధ్యలో బతుకుతున్నారు, అందరిని చూస్తున్నారు, ఎవరు ఎట్లున్నారు, వాళ్ళ బిహేవియర్ ఏంటి, యాటిట్యూడ్ ఏంటి, అయినా వీళ్ళు ఒక్కళ్ళు ఎందుకు డిఫరెంట్గా ఉంటారు? కారణం ఏంటి? ఎందుకు వన్ పర్సన్ థింక్స్ డిఫరెంట్లీ?
It's about the way we have trained our mind, man. Sometimes we're all creatures of habit. Imagine one time you start mind reading. For instance, let's, on a joking manner, I'm telling. Imagine you think about a relative of yours that you don't like. Do we mind read them positively or negatively? Negatively.
Right.
And then even when the person does something right also, what do?
We won't like
negatively.
it. Correct.
Negatively. So you see, you're creating a habit. So mind reading somebody negatively can become a habit. Overgeneralizing can become an habit. Magnification can become an habit.
So ఇది కూడా అడిక్షన్.
ఇది కూడా
అంతే కదా?
అడిక్షన్
అంటే మనకి కేవలం కాఫీలు, టీలు, ఆల్కహాల్లే కాదు.
Addicted to the way we think can also happen. Now, the three that I said, mind reading, chedam, labeling, put together all of this. Sometimes this is what we call a negative mindset. No? So we are all creatures of habit, and habit need not always be behavioral in nature. Like you said, getting addicted to drinking coffee, it's more behavior, but it could also be attitudinal in nature. The way we think in itself can become. The word is addictive, you're using it, but then technically we call it, it's habituation. Habituation, okay? Pattern is set.
So tell me one thing. ఇప్పుడు సూసైడ్ చేసుకునే వాళ్ళు చాలా అంటే దే ఆర్ వీక్ పీపుల్, వాళ్ళు కవర్డ్స్, వాళ్ళకి ధైర్యం లేదు, వాళ్ళు ఈ మాత్రం కూడా హ్యాండిల్ చేయలేరా? కనీసం వాళ్ళ ఫ్యామిలీ గురించి ఆలోచించలేదు, వాళ్ళ పిల్లల గురించి ఆలోచించలేదు, తల్లిదండ్రుల గురించి ఆలోచించలేదు, ఇంత సెల్ఫిష్గా ఉంటారా? హౌ కెన్ దే డూ దిస్? ఇట్లా అంటారు కదండి. మీరేమనుకుంటారు? మీరు ఇన్నేళ్లుగా యూ బీన్ టాకింగ్ టు దిస్ పీపుల్, కొంతమంది సర్వైవర్స్తో మాట్లాడారు, సూసైడ్ సర్వైవర్స్తో. వాట్ డూ యూ థింక్? వాట్ ఈస్ దిస్? ఈజ్ ఇట్ అ మిత్ ఆర్ అ రియాలిటీ?
Prema, the way I would like to understand this is, have you heard some people, like you said, are calling people who attempt suicide as cowards, weak. But have you also heard the contrary, wherein they are like, to attempt suicide, there must be courage?
Right.
Have you seen? Right. So this is black and white thinking, Prema. Neither is true. Neither is true. People who attempt suicide are neither cowards or people who are courageous. Let's not encourage both these perspectives. You know what the truth is? They are simply people who didn't know the right coping skills.
Okay.
It's nothing to do with weakness, nothing to do with somebody being courageous, therefore they're attempting suicide. This would actually, divert and digress the way dialogue on suicide must happen.
But when they're not happy, when they're troubled, why don't they seek help? నాకు అర్థం కాదు.
See, seeking help is a coping skill. That's exactly what I said.
అంటే ఎవరన్నా హెల్ప్ అడిగితే అది తప్ప? అది
they could have that particular myth in their mind.
Okay. అంటే వాళ్ళు ఏమనుకుంటారు?
Absolutely.
మనం హెల్ప్ అడిగితే.
Absolutely. So it's neither weakness nor strength. Instead, they simply didn't have the right coping skills. And what is coping skills? Imagine we have a stress. Anything, financial, academic, emotional, relational, whatever pain. Do I have the skills to manage the situation? Do I have the skills to manage it all by myself? If not, I should have the skill to at least ask for help.
Right.
Ask the right kind of help from the right people. That in itself is a coping mechanism. So like you said, it is quite possible that sometimes people who don't have the life skill of seeking help from others. Imagine I can ask, Prema, I'm going through something so terrible. I just need to talk it out and get your perspective. Will you help me? Isn't that the life skill of seeking help?
Right.
Seeking help is a life skill. Seeking help is a coping skill. And it's absolutely okay to ask for help. But asking for help from the right people at the right time really matters.
You're absolutely right, doctor. Actually, there was a point in time in my life when I was going through this very low phase, which I attributed to things like, menopause or, some hormonal imbalance or something like that. I was attributing. But, it was not subsiding. The thoughts were not subsiding, not suicidal, but I was feeling very not happy about what is happening around me. Then, I realized that I need to talk to somebody. I need to tell something to somebody that what I'm going through. అది ఈ థాట్ మనుషులకు రావాలి అంటే ఏం చేయాలి? అంటే ఎలా తెలుస్తుంది? ఇప్పుడు చుట్టుపక్కల వాళ్ళకి ఎలా తెలుస్తుంది దట్ దిస్ పర్సన్ ఈస్ హ్యావింగ్ దట్ సూయిసైడల్ ఆర్ లో ఫేజ్ టెండెన్సీ? ఆర్ మనకు మనం ఎట్లా? ఇప్పుడు నేనంటే I realized that.
Sure. Good.
Okay, something is wrong. I need to talk. I need to consult a డాక్టర్ అట్లీస్ట్ అమ్మా నాన్నకి చెప్పాలి, హస్బెండ్కి చెప్పాలి అని ఒక ఫీలింగ్ నాకు మైండ్లో వచ్చింది. బికాస్ ఐ బిలీవ్ ఎవ్రీబడి విల్ గో త్రూ దిస్ ఫేజ్ ఎట్ సమ్ పాయింట్ ఇన్ టైమ్ ఇన్ దియర్ లైఫ్. అది ఫైనాన్షియల్ అవ్వచ్చు, రిలేషన్షిప్ అవ్వచ్చు, ఏదైనా అవ్వచ్చు. ఐ ఆల్సో వెంట్ త్రూ. చూసే వాళ్ళకి how do we recognize what are the warning signs of somebody going through this phase?
Yeah, thanks a lot for asking this question, Prema, because I think the moment you recognize a warning sign that somebody is feeling suicidal, then there is this opportunity to help them. You know, the first one is what we call conversational signs. There could be a conversational warning sign. What I mean by that is, imagine you're my friend and I'm calling you for my birthday party. Imagine I tell Prema, come to my birthday party. No, if you don't come, you'll miss it. Next year I won't be there. You see how I'm telling? Isn't this a warning sign? Then it's time that you make time and check with me, Ashwini, is everything okay? Because you called me for birthday party, I understand, but you also told me that you won't be there the next time. Is everything okay? Is there something that you want to
ask?
We need to ask. Conversational warnings. And imagine I'm a school student and then I'm asking my friends during lunch break, hey, you know, which is the easiest method to die? Imagine a friend listens to this. Instead of thinking, hey, what man, what are you telling, and moving on, if at all I report this to my teacher or, you know, the parents of this friend, for all, you know, we have an opportunity to say. First one, conversational warning sign. The second one could be sometimes, no, people may engage in behaviors wherein they're trying to get closure. For example, trying to get closure means maybe I live in an apartment, let's say. And in that WhatsApp group that they're in the apartment, I'm telling 10 things that I'm sorry for to my neighbors. I'm telling Prema, I'm sorry. The other day you told me good morning. I didn't wish. I'm sorry for that. The other day I was smoking in my balcony. If the smoke made you feel uncomfortable. Many times people who are thinking of contemplating suicide might engage in behaviors wherein they're trying to get a sense of closure, like asking for forgiveness or making a will. Suddenly out of nowhere, I want to make will. Or suddenly imagine a parent gets all the family members, children, maybe their parents, you know, a spouse, and tells insurance, these are the insurance numbers. This person you need to contact if I'm not there. Imagine, we should do that when we buy an insurance. Right. But in India, insurance amount goes unclaimed because nobody has told the family members. In such a country, suddenly somebody is calling all the family members and then they are like, note down. Is that not a warning sign that we need to be careful about? That could be one. The other way to look at it is withdrawal behavior. Withdrawal behavior meaning
Not interested in anything.
Not interested in anything. Or somebody very social and now they are not coming anywhere, you know, or no response to messages. Yeah, these are all signs of withdrawal, social withdrawal, emotional withdrawal. I'm aware of a case where this person, one student in North India, in fact, I was conducting a program on suicide prevention, and then the group actually spoke about this. The student who was involved in student unions and all that, on his WhatsApp, the DP, the display picture, he had a hanging noose. You know, the noose. Many people saw the picture, you know, and they thought that the student union was also, you know, they were very much talking about Bhagat Singh, the patriotism. And we know Bhagat Singh was hanged by the British. When the fellow students saw that the student had that noose as the WhatsApp DP, they thought it is something to do with Bhagat Singh. You know, and they didn't check at all about what happened, why do you have that particular picture. Unfortunately, luckily the person survived. Unfortunately, what happened meanwhile is this person sends another message to all the friends telling, I've been having that hanging rope noose for almost 15 days as my DP. Nobody even bothered to check with me if anything is okay with me. And that person tells, then even if I'm alive, dead, it doesn't matter. Now, you see, sometimes people are displaying warning signs, sometimes with the hope that somebody will intervene and just check. Is everything okay? And when that doesn't happen, can you imagine what pain one goes through? We're talking about these warning signs so that the community is observant and empathetic and is willing to give that necessary help. These are few warnings, and some more could be excessively obsessed with talking about death-related matter. I distinctly remember a case in one of the counselling sessions. A parent got a child for my session, and what was happening with this particular child is always talking about which celebrity died of suicide, give me a list. And I remember that child asked me also, ma'am, are there psychologists who have attempted suicide? Excessively preoccupied with death and dying related matters. Another warning sign, Prema, can also be giving away prized possession.
Okay.
Something that you cherish. You're just giving it all up. For example, one child gave away, I don't know, I mean, you look like, somebody from my generation, not, do you remember that hero pen?
Yes.
Yeah, hero pen was like a big thing.
Hero pen, hero cycle.
Hero cycle. This is something, hero pen, and I'm recollecting something from my, childhood. In one of the schools where I studied, so unfortunate, back then I didn't understand this was warning sign or something. Retrospectively, this is what I gather. There was this girl, I forget, 6th or 7th standard, okay, who gave away 2 of her hero pens, okay? And the whole class was like, what's wrong with you? You're giving away hero pen, not a pencil, not that Nataraja pencil or something, hero pen. Nobody understood it from it being a warning sign of suicide. This girl gave her 2 hero pens. And that night, I think she consumed pesticides and she was no more. She attempted suicide and she was no more. Later, the rumors were that she was getting sexually abused by her uncle, But then what I'm telling is, wasn't that a warning sign? If somebody in the school looked at it from that perspective, could have asked, is everything okay? Correct. Are you in need of some help? Why are you giving away that 2 hero pens, which children prized it, valued it so much? See, these are all warning signs, Sometimes a warning sign could also come in the form of engaging in risky behavior. Imagine, when we want to live, survive without much problem, we are careful, right? But when somebody is contemplating suicide, this is especially relevant among youngsters.
Okay.
Yeah. Now, and I want you to remember it in the form of 4S. 4S. Imagine, here is a college student thinking of, suicide. And if there are friends, I would definitely encourage watch out for. Instance, speed. Suddenly becoming okay with speed. The idea is, let me have that adrenaline rush before I'm no more. So sometimes they could become experimental with speed, which might just look like adventurous, risky behavior. It could be in some cases, but it could also be the other way around, which is my risk-taking tendency is increasing because I don't have much urge to remain safe.
Okay.
So watch out. Somebody who used to value their bike so much, now suddenly they are like,
it's okay.
It's okay. Speed. Second, substance.
Yeah.
Experimenting with substance. Alcohol, drugs. Suddenly it's like, doesn't matter what I do to my body because I'm not going to be there for. So S, speed, substance. The other S that, studies are talking, and I've also come across some cases, is sexual experimentation. Suddenly becoming very, very reckless when it comes to sexual activity, no protection, licentious behavior, multiple partners. The 4th is, what do you think? Spending, borrowing money and throwing a party. And people are like, why are you doing it? And they're like, no problem, let's enjoy. So suddenly when we see these changes in
very unusual behavior,
let's be careful. Be careful. And also digital search histories. I'm not encouraging people to be snoopy, but gone are the days when we are talking about Google, what questions we asked on Google. Today, ChatGPT, AI. What if a child is engaging in a conversation with ChatGPT, something on mental health or suicide. And let's say this child is now revealing what they're going through to ChatGPT. Now, is ChatGPT equipped to guide children safely out of suicide? Or imagine I'm a child and I think ChatGPT is the only one who understands me, answers me. And then I confide that, I'm thinking of suicide. What are the next mechanisms? Mechanisms are not in place. We really need to be very, very careful, because children are using AI. Yeah, but if they don't become digital literates, meaning somebody who not just understands how to use it, but also understands the consequences of it. That must happen. Without that, we might encounter situations that we are not prepared for.
I have actually gone through one case study of a 16-year-old boy.
Okay.
It doesn't belong to India, in another country, I think US. That boy, I believe, he was interacting with ChatGPT and made friends with ChatGPT apparently.
Okay.
And whatever he has in his mind, whatever questions, he never had any friends apparently. Only he was interacting with ChatGPT and he's asked, and he's getting so much information from them. And he committed suicide because the ChatGPT asked him.
My God. Okay. This is heartbreaking, no?
It is shocking.
It's shocking. It definitely is shocking. So ultimately, let's say ChatGPT, it's a technology. It can respond. It can give us certain information. But replacing human interaction with artificial presence, I mean, it's scary. What you just shared is so scary. Imagine the same 16-year-old boy was talking about what he's going through to real friends in the human form. For all these fellow friends could have mentioned about what this boy is going through to the parents, and then the parents could have taken this child to mental health professionals, and the story could have been so very different. I remember 10 years ago.
But why is this happening, Dr. Ashwini? I want to know why. Why are the kids resorting to only digital conversations? Why they are not talking to parents? Why they are not talking to teachers? Why they are not developing real friendships? Enduku jaragatledu?
Ma'am, there could be multiple reasons why not just children, even adults are resorting more and more to interacting with technology and through technological means. Maybe one could be convenience. Imagine I want to talk to a friend and that friend is really not available at a given point in time, whereas my ChatGPT is there with me 24/7.
Right.
So one could simply be convenience. The second one, I'm also thinking about how lack of conflict management, meaning skills to manage. Imagine real people means real conflicts to deal with.
True.
All human relationships, I mean, they're joyous, but at the same time, there are also conflicts that are implicit. But that is not the case with interacting with, let's say, ChatGPT. A friend will have 110 problems with me, whereas ChatGPT is not pointing out anything unless I ask it.
True.
So I think one is convenience.
Comfort zone.
Second, I'm becoming too comfortable with things that don't find any problems in me. There are no conflicts to, the resolve. And third, somewhere, at least for children who were, let's say, spent majority of their time during the pandemic, really there was no social interaction in the face-to-face manner, no? So maybe one segment also got habituated into this particular patterns of interacting because of the pandemic influence also. There is no denying, that. And the fourth one, I remember the way I'm thinking is, I remember several years ago, one child told me, I don't want friends. Instead, I want my friends to be Chota Bheem, Nobita or some character like that.
Yes.
I distinctly remember that time I was like, hey, what's happening with these children? They don't want real friends. Instead, they're looking at cartoon characters. And then came the era of interacting with friends, but not face to face, but through social media.
Yeah.
And now we are getting to a stage where that human is getting removed altogether.
Very true.
See, in social media, what was happening is there were humans, but the medium of interaction was technological.
Yeah.
Whereas right now, that eliminating that human from that communication, I think we really need to be so very careful, as to what's happening.
మీరు ఇన్నేళ్లుగా you've been working on this space కదా?
At least the last 10 years,
Yeah. So tell me, మీ దగ్గరికి వచ్చే వాళ్ళు ఎవరైతే who come to seek help, your observation, ఎంత percentage are very much on the social media or on online or facing such kind of issues or problems or such things, they relate to this kind of stuff. అంటే interpersonal problems కాకుండా ఆన్లైన్ వల్ల ఎఫెక్ట్ అయ్యి మీ దగ్గరకు వచ్చే వాళ్ళ పర్సంటేజ్ ఎంత ఉంటుంది డాక్టర్?
Prema, we spoke about ChatGPT, we spoke about social media. The other the cases that I predominantly see is suicide attempts because of what we call revenge porn.
Revenge porn?
Yeah. What is revenge porn? Very sad. Let's say two people were in a relationship and there is a breakup, a nasty one. Somebody is not happy with it. This person leaks intimate pictures, intimate videos, and the other party has no idea this has happened. And when they realize that, hey, my intimate pictures has been leaked, many a times I've seen people attempting suicide. Instead, people must know that there are legal recourses. They can seek help. The other thing that I have seen many a times in intimate partner violence, domestic violence, what happens is abusers use technology to further harass and abuse their victim.
Like how?
For instance, see, we all use words omnipotent, omniscient, omnipresent to describe God, isn't it? I came across a research paper which is talking about how technology in the hands of the abuser makes the abuser feel and create an impression that they are omniscient, omnipotent, omnipresent. What does it mean? Imagine it's intimate partner violence. This abuser is telling the partner, hey, wherever you go, I've inserted an app, I've downloaded an app, I can know where you are. Then this person become omnipresent.
Yeah. That means he's tracking her.
Tracking. Omniscient, whatever you do, I know. All of this will make them omnipotent.
Yeah.
You see, hacking, tracking, masquerading,
Stalking.
Stalking. Masquerading is creating a fake profile in the name of the victim. I'm aware of a case wherein we were able to handle it. What had happened? This husband had created a fake profile in the name of the wife. So the picture, if you see, it's the wife. Looking at that picture, so many people had accepted the friend request. And then using this profile, a fake profile, and the phenomena is called masquerading. He would post nasty comments on the walls of others. What would others think that this wife is doing? Now you see, and all of this, can you imagine what it does to the victim? Yeah. And in that mind state, so many times you've seen domestic violence survivors when they feel, what is the way out? Many times we've seen cases of suicide also. We will later talk about what are the legal recourses one could seek. But domestic violence, intimate partner violence, bullying, child sexual abuse, all of these are forms of violence, So violence and suicidal attempts, highly correlated.
Yeah, because when someone is over violent and who's like intimidating you, commanding you, putting you in a corner, then you have no other
feels
go.
like that.
You have to, inkante mostly men commit suicide by hanging.
Okay.
And women are immolating. Why so, doctor? And is there any pattern of committing suicides?
Gender-based is what you're asking, is it?
Yeah.
In fact, research is talking about, let's make a distinction. Women attempt suicide more, whereas men complete suicide more. More number of women are attempting, but many men...
But they don't die.
They may not die because of
die.
the method that they use.
Okay.
Because of the method that they use. Whereas men, when they attempt, mostly are using what we call fatalistic method. That means methods that are known to be, resulting in suicidal, deaths more and more. So hanging is one, poisoning, So there is a gender difference in the method that they choose.
Why do they do that?
Yeah, like say for example, there could also be socio-cultural reasons. Women who are born and raised in a culture where we've heard mythological stories, no? Sita entered into the fire to prove that she was pure, So listening to these stories, we've always looked at fire as something that purifies, something that will tell that, I'm powerful even in my, death. Some such subconscious, the connections could also be happening. And self-immolation is so common in South India. I was telling you earlier, in 1 year, in one hospital in Bangalore, I found 327 cases of women burning themselves. I'm not even talking about homicidal. This is suicidal, self-inflicted, the burns. Why is it happening? Number one reason is violence.
But why are they so hard on themselves? Why do you have to suffer so much and die?
I'm just recollecting a couple of, stories that I've heard, women directly telling me. In one case, Prema, I remember this young girl telling me, I chose this method only. Why? She was getting sexually harassed at her workplace. She was the first female in her family to ever enter the workforce.
Okay.
She came to Bangalore from a rural, the district. And she tells, I chose this method only. You know why? Because there was sexual harassment with a hope that if I burn my face, then at least my boss will allow me to simply work. Can you imagine? And she's not attractive anymore. That was her reasoning, And I've also heard, these are heartbreaking to even recollect and share. I've heard a woman say, I was getting raped daily by the father-in-law. The father-in-law was raping her. And she could not talk about this to anybody else. She tried and nobody listened. And she tells, I burnt myself because at least when I die, when they're cremating me, they don't get to touch me in this bodily form. Because I know that man also would be involved in, burning me or burying me. And I don't want anybody to touch my body in its original form. And I've also met some women tell why did they burn? Because of certain guilt. Maybe it's a case of infidelity. They have cheated on their spouse. That guilt is there, and burning themselves is a way to purify. So there could also be those subconscious, the connection. But what's also common, sometimes that I've heard is imitative suicide. So unfortunate. Those women who are listening, please don't ever attempt suicide in any method. But I've heard some women say, somewhere they would have heard that, so-and-so lady burned herself. And after that, it seems the husband stopped drinking alcohol.
When you die, what matters?
Yeah, nothing.
When you're not around.
And will that person stop drinking?
Whether it drinks or it doesn't drink, how does it matter?
I know. And those people who couldn't value you when you were alive and didn't change their behavior, when you die, would they change? This is sometimes, it's actually called delusional thinking. Delusional thinking is, look at this myth. Thinking that people will feel sorry that they treated me badly when I was alive. Now when I die, they will understand my worth. People who are abusive, people who are violent when you were alive, will they learn? So you losing your life is definitely not the answer. Take legal action, maybe towards that husband who's torturing, dowry harassment. These are real. There are legal actions that can be taken. Instead, when women choose this path, it's very unfortunate. That's when I say, Prema, every child, forget about once we are adults, our personalities are already the way it is, I think every student must undergo what I call assertiveness training. What is assertiveness training? So imagine, look at our personalities on a continuum. Some individuals are submissive. Yes. What is submissive? I don't trouble others, but when others are troubling me, be it in the family, in my professional space, I don't know how to defend. When we are submissive, there shall always be people who are aggressive.
Exactly.
You know, and aggressive individuals, who are they? They will violate others' boundaries, but will they allow others to violate their boundaries? No. So one should neither be submissive. When you are submissive, we'll become victims.
Right.
And when we are aggressive, we'll become perpetrators. So instead, something that balances out, which is assertiveness.
Yeah.
Assertiveness is the skill to ensure I will not trouble anybody, and at the same time, I will not allow others to trouble me.
Yeah.
Imagine every child undergoes this training of assertiveness in school. Now, when we are adults, why will I harass my spouse?
మనకి ఇవన్నీ నేర్పట్లేదు. మనకి ఎంతసేపటికి మ్యాథ్స్, ఫిజిక్స్, సైన్స్, బయాలజీ సబ్జెక్టులు చెప్పడం తప్ప నువ్వు ఎలా బతకాలి, ఎలా కాన్ఫిడెంట్ ఉండాలి, లైఫ్ స్కిల్స్ నేర్పట్లేదు. ఎస్పెషల్లీ టుడేస్ టైం ఇంత అంటే సైబర్ బుల్లింగ్ జరుగుతుంది, ఇంత ఆన్లైన్ హెరాస్మెంట్, టార్చర్. యూ నీడ్ టు హ్యావ్ సెషన్స్ ఎవ్రీ డే అట్లీస్ట్ for an hour.
Definitely, ma'am. Definitely. Schools. You know, and it should not be like one day we talk and then we stop. You know, instead, this is what I call concentric circle model of teaching children life skills. Do you remember in our geometry classes, we might have learned concentric circles? What happened? The radius increases, no? That means first standard child will also learn certain life skills. Second standard children will also learn. So we need to keep on increasing the radius, the depth of each topic. Imagine bullying. There are so many children who are attempting suicide because of bullying. This is actually called bullycide. Bullycide. Suicide because of bullying is called bullycide. Physical bullying. I'm aware of ragging. Financial bullying. Torturing somebody that you need to be buying me this and this in a school, in a college. Where will this child bring money? You know, prejudicial bullying based on religion, based on, the minority status, maybe of the language or the race. Bullying, will a child bully if there is empathy training?
True.
And empathy is a life skill. Assertiveness is a life skill. So many such problems can be prevented.
We are not at all focusing on those.
Yeah, we're not from. Yeah, we are not.
It should start from school.
Absolutely.
It should start from home.
It should start from home. It should start from school. Otherwise, what would happen is we end up having problems like suicide, violence, and then we are thinking, what shall we do at this level? Once problems have already occurred.
Correct.
The kind of prevention that we need to be looking at is what is called primary prevention. Can we stop the problem before it occurs?
Yes.
You know, and majority of the problems can be prevented if we could start with life skills training.
Very true. I've collected some very gory, alarming, shocking suicide stories.
Okay.
And some of them, I find them to be very psychotic, some psychopath kind of thought processes, or some mental issues, or some psychological problem, because they don't look normal. I mean,
sure.
So I'm not saying that suicides are normal, but I'm saying some unusual way of committing suicides is something which is like troubling me.
Okay.
Just wanted to ask a few of them, just to understand why this happens. In Kolkata, there is a school girl who choked to death by hanging herself, just by imitating a suicide scene in the television. And she was showing that to a 3-year-old brother of hers. తన 3 ఏళ్ల తమ్ముడికి చూపిస్తోంది, అక్కడ జరిగింది కదా, నేను అలాగే చేసి చూపిస్తా నీకు అని. అండ్ అన్ఫార్చునేట్లీ షీ డైడ్. షీఈస్ అరౌండ్ 7-8 years. ఐ డోంట్ అండర్స్టాండ్. ఒక 7-8 పిల్లలకి ఎలా తెలుస్తుంది ఇవన్నీ? వాళ్ళకి ఏం తెలుసు?
See, the fact is they don't know, and then when they see, they're imitating. This is called imitative suicides, ma'am. Copycat phenomena. The more the commonality between who we are seeing and my own demographic details. Imagine, I'm a business person and I see a business person attempted and died of suicide. Look at that social learning. Relatability. Comparison. We need to be very, very careful. In fact, I think this is something even more relevant because we're doing a podcast. There is something called Werther effect. WERTHER. Werther effect. You know what is this Werther effect? It means when somebody who has a celebrity status, let's say attempts suicide, and in the media it is the news spreads in a very dramatic manner, the suicides among the common people increases. This is called Werther effect.
Really?
Why is it happening?
Why?
Yeah, because copycat phenomena. I don't know, my mother used to talk about some movie, Maro Charitra or something,
Maro
Kamal
Charitra.
Hassan,
Yes,
and
yes.
then Sarita maybe.
Yeah.
And, so many people attempted suicide because the climax was that they jump off a cliff or something.
Yeah.
And many people did that. Werther effect. It also talks about how responsibly we need to be talking about this topic, trigger warnings, and suicide helplines need to be, discussed. So Werther effect is a direct, the impact of copycat phenomena. And for all, that's exactly what we are seeing in that particular child.
ఎంత పాపం షాకింగ్ ఉండొచ్చు కదా వాళ్ళ అమ్మ నాన్నకి.
Can you imagine?
అంటే 1 hour ముందు ఈ అమ్మాయి మంచి నవ్వుతూ ఆడుతూ తమ్ముడితో ఆడుకుంటుంది, సడన్ గా చనిపోయిందంటే అసలు ఎట్లుంటది ఆ పేరెంట్స్ కి?
Can you believe? Do you also
Even the girl also must not be knowing that she's dying.
Yeah, she might also. I mean, this is making me recollect. Do you remember Shaktiman?
Yeah.
And so many children attempted suicide with a hope that Shaktiman will commend.
Yes.
That goes on to tell how impressionable children are and how responsible the media should also be in talking about this particular topic and depicting certain things in movies.
There are so many boys and girls who fall in love at a very young age. Sometimes when they're minors also. ఇప్పుడు మరీ ఎక్కువైపోయింది కదా, 9 ఏళ్ల పిల్లలు, 8 ఏళ్ల 10 ఏళ్ల పిల్లలు, దే falling in love. I don't know what it means to them. But this boy, what damn reasons, he killed the girl and he killed himself. ఇలాంటివి నేను చాలా విన్నాను. This is one case I'm telling which happened in Kakinada. చంపేసి వాళ్ళని చంపుకోవడం ఏంటి అన్నది. అంటే why do they do this?
I mean, the technical term here for such phenomena, we call it homicidal suicide. Homicidal suicide is killing someone and then also attempting the suicide. Now,
ఇది నార్మల్ గా ఫ్యామిలీస్ లో కూడా జరుగుతుంది కదా. అంటే ఒక ఫైనాన్షియల్ ప్రాబ్లం వచ్చింది, ఫాదర్ మదర్ ముందు పిల్లల్ని చంపేస్తారు 7-8 ఏళ్ళు. దిస్ హ్యాపెండ్ ఇన్ సమ్ అదర్ ప్లేస్. 7-8 years పిల్లలు, దే కిల్డ్ ద కిడ్స్ అండ్ దెన్ they also kill them.
Homicidal suicides. I mean, this particular case, when we are talking about this guy killing her, I'm thinking it was over, not accepting the relationship or something. We really need to empower youngsters on dealing with their emotions. See, remember earlier I was talking about suicide, it's neither an act of weakness or strength. Instead, I said it's simply not knowing the right coping mechanism. In this particular case, the skill of dealing with rejection. Life is real. Not everybody needs to like you. You liked the other person and that person maybe likes you or doesn't like you but does not want to be in a relationship with you. You are rejected. So be it. Accepting. So that skill of accepting rejection, like seeking help, is also a life skill that we need to be talking about. In this particular case, you see, this boy has murdered that girl. And then guilt is also real, has attempted suicide and is no more. Who benefited from this whole thing? I think lack of emotional regulation. And that's where, even at the cost of sounding repetitious, I would still go back to basics of life skills. Emotional management. Feeling rejected, it's not easy. But it's a skill that we need to pick up. Not everybody needs to like us. And it's okay.
Normally, people who don't study well, who are not able to cope up with the education system, or, who are not able to write exams or, pass in the exams or secure marks, unable to take the pressure, they are committing suicide. But for the first time, I heard something like this, where a NEET topper who got a seat in AIMS Gorakhpur, and who's like got 99.9%, who committed suicide.
My God.
What does this mean, Dr. Ashwin? What is happening?
Did he, we may have to explore questions of, did he really want to
he said
do that?
He was never wanted to become a doctor.
Look at that. In a society where being the doctor is seen as being successful, that boy must have not shared that sentiment. Not talking anything about his parents, because we don't know who they are and they must be dealing with, what they are. But something that I would definitely like to remind all parents is, let's not make our children what is called the trophy children. You know this phenomenon of trophy children. Like children are our trophies.
Yeah.
Parents are looking at children as their measure of success. Now look at this boy. I mean, all that we know is he didn't want to be a doctor.
Yeah.
Let's not comment anything about the parenting style of his parents or anything. But the moment the child has a different definition of success, and whoever be it, you know, who didn't understand that, that is the kind of the end that's so unfortunate to even think that the boy had to go through. Is that the case where that boy wanted to be a businessman or something? And then
the same boy.
Yeah, that boy. So very unfortunate, ma'am. You know, in general, Prema, you know, we could talk about parenting style as of 4 types, you know, not connecting to this boy, his parents. Let's not do that. But 4 types of parenting. First one, autocratic parenting. You know, in autocratic parenting, what happens is these parents are like dictators. You know, children are told you do this, then you're good, my way or highway. You know, that kind. Sometimes I've seen children of these autocratic parents, when they are going through a problem, they don't feel comfortable to go to the parents, you know, because they are now worried my parents will blame me. You know, I've come across cases where children have attempted suicide not knowing where to go. You know, in one case, remember I spoke about revenge porn? This child got into that problem. Child as in above 18 in this particular, but a youngster, you know, got into this particular problem. Of course, it's messy. No parent, you know, the person goes and tells that, you know what, my intimate pictures are, they are not going to be like good. You know, there will be some interactions that are not going to be pleasant, but they will at least help. In this particular case, this 19-year-old, a college student is telling, entered into a relationship. Obviously, my parents didn't know. But if I tell them that after this breakup, this is what has happened, they will kill me. And why give that chance? Instead, I'm going to kill myself. So what I'm telling is, when children feel their parents are not going to be supportive and they're going to be autocratic in the way, this entire situation, sometimes you see, you know, these are the consequences. The parent could be strict. The parent could be a hardcore disciplinarian. They may have their own intention. But the perception of the child, when the child thinks my parents are dictators, when they are in need of help, and if they don't reach out to parents and then resort to these methods, it's so unfortunate, right? So when parents are being autocratic, not a, you know, the right thing, the right way to support children. The second one is indulgent parents. Pampering children to an extent that, you know, I've met children tell, if I talk to my parents about the problems that I have, and my parents only will, you know, harm themselves, because children feel my parents are so soft and so, you know, pampering of me that they can't learn that I am in problems. See, parents ultimately should be that source of support. When they come across to children as being so pampering and indulgent, wherein the child thinks my parents can't take the problem that I have.
They themselves will do this.
We need to be careful. And then there are negligent parents. Negligent parents don't know what's happening in the life of the children. You know, the best type of parenting is what's called democratic parenting. Simply put, these are parents who talk to children, who respect perspectives, wherein the child knows, if I mess up, of course, there will be interaction, but ultimately my parents will support me. Ultimately, my parents will be that safety net, you know. And I think if we can give children that environment, that safety net, you know, higher are the chances that children will find their parents supportive. Usually, parents who are going to be democratic, because they also listen, they're also assertive. Parents are also assertive. Then children are likely to not enter into messy situations. But even if they do, they know that, you know, there is a way out. So somewhere I think parents may also wake up to the reality of if they're autocratic, if they're too indulgent, if they're too negligent, children are not going to find support.
True. You
in them.
need to develop a communication with your kids.
Absolutely.
Otherwise, these don't work.
Yep.
అసలు ఇలాంటివి జరుగుతూనే ఉంటాయి.
Especially when children are in trouble.
Right.
They need to come to the parents, no? And the parents need to have provided that space.
వెరీ వెరీ బ్యాడ్. పబ్జీ ఆడుతూ పబ్జీ అడిక్షన్తో మా పేరెంట్స్ పబ్జీ ఇవ్వలేదనేసి సూసైడ్ చేసుకోవటం.
Oh.
ఐ ఫీల్ దే ఆర్ వెరీ స్మాల్ థింగ్స్, ట్రివియల్ థింగ్స్ నా దృష్టిలో. బట్ ఆ అబ్బాయి దృష్టిలో చాలా పెద్ద థింగ్. ఈ పర్సెప్షన్స్ అన్నవి ఎట్లా బ్యాలెన్స్ అవుతాయి? ఒకళ్ళకి చిన్నదైంది, ఇంకోటి పెద్దది, ఇంకోళ్ళకి పెద్దది, ఇంకోళ్ళకి చిన్నది ఇష్యూ.
For you, it might seem like, hey, what a big deal. PUBG, if a parent says stop, why can't you? But we all live in a subjective world. There is nothing called objective, you know. Everything is subjective. For instance, but in this topic, no, we need to really be talking about digital addiction. You know, see, addiction means it's become a habit. Maybe earlier the child would play for half an hour and would feel satisfied that, I have played. But now once the tolerance increases, 3 hours also, the child feels I have not played. So the tolerance would have increased. Secondly, salience. You know, we say salient features, no? Salience means important. When there is addiction, the thing that they are addicted to will become the most important thing to them.
True.
In this case, when you say parents aren't they important, why can't the child understand that? Salience is a feature of addiction. Than parents, than studies, than the child's sleep, eating, the child now finds that object that they are addicted to be the most salient, most important. And then there could also be withdrawal symptoms. Withdrawal means you might have seen some videos circulating also when you take away the thing. Have you seen how children sometimes behave?
I know. Correct. Very
Hyper, shivering, you know, not able to regulate their bodies. Withdrawal symptoms, meaning when they are doing it, somehow there is stability. When that object is taken away, the body and the mind does not know how else to regulate. So when for this child, the mother tells, you know, give it, I will not allow you to play, not knowing how to regulate oneself, you see what has happened, you know. So what I'm telling is, see, we cannot just look at it as a child playing PUBG. Instead, we need to look at it as a child getting addicted to PUBG. And addiction is a mental health concern. It will not get cured with the mother telling, give it away. Instead, it requires treatment. It's no longer a simple conversation of, I'll tell you, stop playing and you can. It's a mental health concern.
I think digital detox అనేది చాలా ఇంపార్టెంట్ డాక్టర్ అశ్విని. అంటే పేరెంట్స్ ఒక టైం ఇవ్వాలి. అట్లీస్ట్ అండర్ 15 పిల్లలకి రోజులో 1 గంట, 2 గంటలు, అంతకు మించి యూ షుడ్ నాట్. వాళ్ళని కంప్లీట్ గా స్టాప్ చేయమన్నా కూడా చేయరు.
కరెక్ట్.
You need to regulate, you need to tell them this
we
is
need
what
to
it
begin
is.
the right way, ma'am. But when things have gone out of control, when it's already a mental health concern, then we require treatment only. I have seen parents taking pride in telling, you know, if I give my child mobile 3 hours, he's sorted. Now, if you're using the mobile as a substitute parent, then obviously they would like it more than you. That's for sure. And also, ma'am, we need to understand, you know, I and you, we are immigrants to this digital space. Meaning, we weren't born into this particular space. Whereas the children now are digital natives. They were born in this era. So therefore, our approaches, the way we engage with technology, it's going to be different for sure, but we need to regulate it, well regulate it, have a plan to regulate it. Otherwise, you know, we are going to experience many of these concerns.
I want to talk about this Burari suicide.
Yes.
Which is like 11 people in a family committed suicide. Just because of some ritual, I believe.
I did hear near Delhi,
ritual,
right?
In Delhi, yeah. So what is this? Why such things happen? I mean, is there any psychological imbalance among all the 11 people? Or is it a psychological imbalance of one guy who instigated the rest of the people to do
Possible,
this?
ma'am.
What could have happened?
From a mental health perspective, this is sometimes called shared psychosis. You know, shared psychosis essentially is one person might have developed, you know, a particular mental health the concern, and in a closed space with repeated exposure to each other, there is every possibility, that the psychosis can eventually be developed by multiple people also, and also from what little I understand about the case, there is also an ideological the influence. Sometimes these are called cult suicides also.
Cult suicides.
Cult.
Okay.
What is a cult? Cult is essentially, there is a way of thinking, let's say. There were some rituals and all that we
some
heard.
superstition.
Yeah.
15-year-old boy to an 80-year-old grandmother, all the 11 people.
Look at that. So what is
They
generally...
hang themselves to death.
Yeah, how unfortunate love and lives, So usually cult is... There is a shared ideology that's shared by many, many people. For outsiders, it might look like, how could they even think this could happen?
Why is it that not even one person has raised a voice? I mean, one among the entire lot, why did that person not think that this is stupid?
Yeah.
I mean, we should not be doing this.
It's possible that somebody said, but then the majority perspective gained more momentum. We don't know what happened internally.
Okay.
We don't know. But what we do know is ultimately 11 people were no more. So cult ideology, sometimes cult is a minority group sharing a similar ideology, could have started by one, but then the rest of them, because of repetitious experiences that they've had, maybe they all developed a certain mental health concern, we could say. Eventually, we can also say it is a shared psychosis, the case. But these are examples of cult suicides.
Which are very unusual.
Rare, but the world has seen many such.
Many. And do they also create a kind of influence, like, among other people who think the same way?
See, here that might have happened. One person might have influenced the perspective of
others. But seeing
others.
that 11 suicides, if there are other groups also who have some kind of a similar ideology or thought process or in a different way.
God forbid, but we did speak about imitative suicides. We need to be careful. We need to watch out for how these cases are also discussed.
A guy does a live streaming. He puts up the entire video of his suicide and he sends the link to the wife apparently and he commits suicide. What is this kind of an attitude?
Yeah, one way to understand it is maybe he was trying to garner attention to what has caused him to take that particular, the step. Sometimes it could also be very cause related. Imagine what I mean by cause related is maybe my voice was suppressed, let's say. And now when I'm attempting to do this, I want
attention.
Attention. For people who are thinking of doing such things, if something is bothering you, take it up as, constructively and work to eradicate that cause.
But adem pleasure ante nenu chanipoyedi choodali.
Sure. Maybe seeking attention to the pain that he has gone through, or also to shame the other person. We don't know what might have run in his particular, person's mind. But then somewhere there is this attention seeking, the urge for sure that you see. He felt that maybe what I'm going through requires many people to understand. It's so unfortunate.
Why do people write suicide letters and then die? And why do they mention the names of people that because of them I committed suicide? Ante వాళ్ళ ultimate motive goal ఏమై ఉండొచ్చు?
There could be a lot of things that they couldn't tell when they were alive, Maybe because of fear. Maybe because they carried guilt.
What bothers me. They could have told all of this before dying.
Assertiveness, ma'am. Remember? If as an individual I'm submissive.
Just one person.
I know. Submissive. In a world where we are brought up, be silent, keep quiet, don't voice out your perspective. It's so unfortunate. That's why I keep saying assertiveness skill. What is assertiveness? Do I have the skill to tell what I'm going through without fear?
Yeah.
But when we don't have that skill, you see how unfortunate that somebody thinks, at least before I die, let me write and die.
Ayyo.
Isn't it sad? So it's easier for us to tell but it's not easy when people are going through. So for everybody, I would definitely say train yourself to be assertive. If you're a parent, make your child become assertive. If you're a teacher, take it up as your responsibility to make students assertive so that they talk without offending, hurting others, but they talk. Yeah, gentle but firm. That's very needed. Otherwise, like you said, why should a person leave a note and die? Because living a life of being submissive, no? At least when I die, let me voice out. It's very unfortunate. Assertiveness is an important life skill. It could save
and there is
a
this
lot
one
of lives.
Very unusual suicide story that came across. That is, a guy has an intravenous injection of kerosene of 5 ml.
Okay. Oh.
He injects, I believe. I don't know what could be the motive, because they found it when that guy was unconscious and taken to the hospital.
Oh, yeah. From a psychoeducational point of view, what I can tell, Prema ma'am, is sometimes self-injurious behaviors, right, can be classified into two. One is non-suicidal self-injurious behavior, meaning certain self-injurious behaviors may have other intentions, not necessarily suicidal in nature.
Means what?
For example, some people you might have seen, they cut themselves, but they may not have the intent to die. There could be other reasons. One could be distracting themselves from the emotional pain they are going through. Or it could also be of seeking attention to other concerns that they may have. So about this particular person, one way to understand if it didn't lead to suicide and it is happening repeatedly is, it is self-injurious behavior only to the body, isn't it?
Yeah.
But it could be what is called NSSI. Non-suicidal self-injurious behavior, and then there are self-injurious behavior that are suicidal in nature. So I would definitely encourage those interested in doing research on this topic to also look out for these two, NSSI especially, non-suicidal self-injurious behavior, and then suicidal self-injurious behavior.
I heard that sometimes suicides are instantaneous. I mean, it's like a spurt of the moment, they get the thought and they die. But do you think that is the truth? Or whoever commits suicide, they are going through a psychological issue? What do you think?
Definitely mental health concerns, mental illnesses, could be one of the reasons why suicidal behavior, happens. For example, ma'am, psychiatrists would tell it better. There is something called command hallucination. I'm a psychologist. Psychiatrists might have treated this by giving medication. There's something called command hallucination. Hallucinations is sometimes people may hear voices. Command hallucination is the voice tells them, harm yourself, attempt suicide. Now you see, this could be part of schizophrenia, which is a psychotic ailment. Depression. It's a mental health concern. It's a mood disorder. Substance addiction. There are suicidal behaviors, that are one of the symptoms itself or the consequences of mental illness.
Okay.
That's for sure. That could be one category.
But to what scale, what level? It can be only diagnosed by a psychiatrist.
Psychiatrist, yes. Yeah, or a clinical psychologist. But there are also instances where we have seen cumulatively. Say, I want to categorize it into three. One is suicidal behavior because of diagnosable mental health concerns. Okay. The second one is cumulative life stressors, meaning, for instance, I spoke about women who burned themselves. There are women who told 20 years I've suffered domestic violence. But one day I thought enough is enough. So this is not impulsive.
Right.
20 years stressor is accumulated, it has had its impact. So there could be
one triggering point. Triggering moment.
There could be cumulative in nature. It's not impulsive. And then there are times when something happens, spur of a moment, somebody might have, attempted, the suicide. But in all of these, it's very important that we watch out for warning signs. Because even in that spur of the moment, imagine somebody might have told you hurt me, see what I will do. That's a conversational sign. Let us take it seriously.
They might not tell daily.
Daily.
Supposing they tell, see what I'm going to do today. And they're okay for about 2-3 months.
Let's
Again,
take
after
it
3 months, they'll
seriously.
say, see what I'm going to do. That also, should you take it seriously?
We better, because what if, technically if I'm the one to explain, whenever we see a warning sign, sometimes people make two types of mistake, let's say, false positive, false negative mistake. So usually false positive, false negative in pregnancy tests,
yes.
or COVID times, I think those results, false positive, false negative. What is false positive? Let's say somebody said something. Somebody said like, oh my God, I feel like, dying, let's say. False positive is what? You took it seriously. And then you're like, is everything okay? And that person is like, hey, I simply said. Imagine, I simply said. False positive is that. False positive is you saw something as a warning sign. Maybe you saw a change of behavior or something strange. And you intervened, taking it seriously. You said, is everything okay? Because you said next year you won't be there. I'm worried. You said that. And the person said, no suicide or something. I was just jokingly. So you made a false positive mistake. But what is false negative mistake? Imagine somebody said something like, come to the party, next year I won't be there. And you thought maybe he's going abroad. And then you did not intervene. You made a mistake, no?
Yeah.
Which is a good mistake to make? False positive. Let us make as many false positive mistakes as possible. Maybe it is not a warning sign, but let's check on people. Because you make 100 false positive mistake, which is okay. But what if you make one false negative mistake? Remember that student who had that rope as the WhatsApp DP? All his friends made which type of mistake? False negative. Wherein they said, no, it's some reference to Bhagat Singh and did not intervene. So therefore, like you said, it might be one time, it could be 100 times. Let us do our bit. And what is that we could do? Just intervene and check. This is what I observed. Is everything okay? Do you need any support? I think that definitely needs to happen.
It's wonderful, Doctor, talking to you. But before we end the conversation, I want you to give me 2-3 sharp, doable, reasonable tips to identify people around us who are going through suicidal tendencies and self-identification also of a suicidal tendency.
Sure.
If you could just, doable things, which is easy to identify, easy to pick up.
Two things we will divide. One is, if I come across somebody who's suicidal, what needs to do? We've already spoken about warning signs. Maybe I'll explain it using an acronym because, it's easy to remember. Let's tell it we care. W, watch out for warning signs first. Okay. E is evaluate. Evaluate when is the right time for you to connect with that person. For example, imagine we saw a colleague who is experiencing withdrawal symptoms, meaning they're not interacting with anybody and you've observed it. E is evaluate when is the right time to speak to that person, not in a meeting in front of everyone, no? Instead, maybe when they're all alone. C is connect. How will you connect? Go to the person, seek permission. Imagine I say, Prema, there's something that I wish to discuss with you. Can I? And imagine you say yes. Then always tell what you have observed.
Okay.
Tell. Prema, the last 1 week I'm seeing you're not coming with us for lunch. And I also see some cuts. Tell what you have observed. Don't simply go and tell, Prema, I know something is wrong with you. Tell me what happened.
Whatever we talk with concern.
Yes. Okay. And with facts. What you have observed. Then tell them what you're feeling. I'm worried about...
I want to help you.
I'm worried about what I'm observing. Is there something that you wish to tell me? That's C, connect. A is acknowledge. Acknowledge the story.
Okay.
Do not deny what they are telling. Do not take them on a guilt trip.
It's okay.
Listen, acknowledge. R is
even if it is a very, very trivial problem, for you it might be small, for them it is very big.
So acknowledge their concerns, acknowledge their story, also acknowledge your limitation, meaning you're not the counselor.
Correct.
You know, you're the mental health professional. Acknowledge your limitation. A. R is refer. Refer them to mental health professionals. Because sometimes we may not be the right people to support them. We may not have the right skills to. Therefore, in A, when you're acknowledging their story, their concern, also acknowledge your own limitation. Imagine I'm your colleague and I tell Prema, I'm glad that you want to tell me, but I understand that you may require additional support, which I'm not equipped for. Yeah, can I refer you to a counselor? Can I refer you to a psychiatrist? And you know what? E is engage. After referring, you know, sometimes when I give you a number, you might think that, you know, oh, Ashwini is washing her hands off me.
Yeah.
Maybe she's not interested in helping. E engage means, I can ask you, Prema, the other day I gave you that psychiatrist number, no?
Like a follow-up. You keep on following up and
Absolutely.
understanding whether the person reached out or not.
You really need to do that.
Wonderful.
Yeah, we care. This is if we come across somebody. Now, in the event that I'm going through suicidal thoughts, you know, and I'm aware of it, and how can you know? Forget about suicidal behavior. The moment you recognize your sleep is getting disturbed, you know, the moment you recognize your appetite has decreased, your energy levels have come down, first let's go to the regular physician.
Okay.
And when they say, no, there is a mental health, you know, the concern, without any stigma, you know, I think let's reach out to mental health professionals, you know.
Which means you need to reach out to a psychiatrist or a psychologist.
Psychologist, trained, absolutely.
Trained psychologist. First, initially psychologist.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And if at all they say that some pharmacological treatment is needed, meaning some medicine is needed, you know, then a psychiatrist will come into the picture. But always ensure you reach out to well-trained psychologists, psychiatrists, you know, that's one. But let's say we are at home and we are feeling suicidal. I would definitely encourage everybody, you know, to think about what are some coping styles that they could use. You know, it could be a breathing technique. It could be listening to music. You know, it could be going through albums, you know, something to purposefully distract yourself. You know, that's one. Secondly, we could also be aware. See, if we know this is what I'm going through, you know, one, let us look for certain internal coping mechanism, you know. Secondly, let us also have a plan in place as to where shall I go to overcome this. For example, I've heard some people, let's say in Bangalore sometimes, there are certain cafes. Somebody would say, you know, when I'm feeling suicidal, and I'm already on medication, you know, I'm already under therapy, but when I feel that, I'll go sit in that cafe. You know, I don't want to talk to anybody, but I'll just go sit there for some time and then I'm kind of okay. So please figure out where you can go to so that you can purposefully distract yourself from suicidal thoughts. Yeah, that's the second step. First one was what? Internal coping mechanism. Second, go somewhere, meet somebody. You need not necessarily talk to them about what you're going through, but distract yourself. Yeah. Third, as much as possible, keep away things that are harmful to you. You know, for example, knives. You know, there is a tendency. Keep it away. Access to medicines. So that you don't overdose yourself, you know, access to that kerosene. If you know your tendency, keep it as far as possible. Remove those materials from your surroundings. That could be the third. Fourth, please make a list of people that you know will listen to you, will support you. Connect with them. At least 3 to 5. Okay? Fifth, please have it handy, helpline numbers. You know, earlier when I said these could be known people, but sometimes these known people could be busy in their life. Not that they don't like you.
Sometimes we might not be
also wanting
to talk to anyone. We want some unknown, anonymous people to listen to us.
Then have in place contact details of helplines.
Can you suggest some helplines which are authentic, reliable, and which are professional?
Sure. Yeah, something that's on top of the mind, and I also encourage you, ma'am, maybe in the description of this podcast we will give. One could be AASRA. AASRA. The other one could be this helpline from VANDREVALA Foundation.
Vandrevala.
Vandrevala.
Where is it located?
I think this is
it there
Mumbai-based,
all through
could
the
be.
country, or that it's existing
These
only in
numbers
Mumbai?
that I'm telling are available, accessible throughout the country.
Okay.
AASRA, Vandrevala Foundation. Third that's on top of the mind is also KIRAN helpline. I think this is a government initiative. Yeah. Then they may also reach out for mental health concern. These three specifically for suicide helplines. Yeah. The other two could also be Tele-Manas service. The numbers, we will share it in the description. Maybe.
Yeah.
The fifth one could also be I Call helpline of Tata Institute of Social Science. I Call helpline. You know, maybe for the benefit, I'll repeat once again. AASRA helpline, Vandrevala Foundation's the helpline. Then we have KIRAN helpline. These three for suicidal, the crisis, the helplines one could reach out to. The other two for mental health concerns could be Tele-Manas, and the fifth one is I Call helpline of the TIS. So these could also be something that one can have in handy as our personal resource for our safety. The other thing that they can also do is let there be some information. These are things that I can put it on paper so that I can have it, so that when I'm feeling suicidal, I know what needs to be done. The other thing could also be make note in as much elaboration about the purpose of my life, things that I love. You never know when you're feeling suicidal, just looking at that for all you know may change perspective. Also details about the local hospitals that can provide emergency care. All of this, let's put it on a paper. This is almost like the safety plan. I would encourage that if at all you feel, I'm suicidal, go to a mental health professional. I hope these mental health professionals are trained to make safety plan. Like I mentioned, I would definitely encourage them to seek mental health professional support and come up with a safety plan. But even otherwise, seeking help is the single most important life skill that we need to develop, especially when we know at this moment I'm in need of help. And that's the right thing to do.
And
to
what about Mukhta Foundation?
We as an organization, we work on interpersonal abuse and violence. We deal with cases of abuse and violence exclusively. So if it is child sexual abuse, if it is dating violence, bullying, intimate partner violence, sexual harassment at workplace, the mental health.
But as you said, these violences might lead to suicides and any sort of crime.
They definitely can reach out.
So if really they want to reach out, they can reach out to you as well, right?
Definitely. That can definitely happen.
Thank you so much, Doctor. It is a pleasure talking to you. A lot to learn, lot to understand, and lot to internalize, and probably get motivated, inspired by all these conversations so that people will understand, know what to do.
And let's believe suicide is preventable.
Yes.
It is preventable the moment we are willing to seek help and build essential life skills.
And be assertive, as
be
you
assertive, empathy and assertiveness.
Thank you so much.
Thanks so much. Thanks for having me over. Thank you.